Our topic tonight is a very, very fun topic for me to speak about because we're going to look a little bit about the wisdom that is taught in the Bible. So, what happens is there are quite a lot of occasions where wisdom is applied to animals in the word. And so our theme is pause and reflect. And obviously, it's not a spelling mistake, it's a deliberate play on words. Because I want you to, the ideas with this tonight. We're going to take our lives, we're just going to pause. We're going to look at the animal kingdom and an example of an animal or two. And then we're going to pause and reflect. In other words, what can we learn from animals and then apply that to our lives? Now, if you don't know who Sune is an animal lover. She's part of our church as well. I do believe you will also enjoy the sermon tonight. I know she's very, very fanatic about animals and love them as well. My own mom, I mean, she loves animals, but she likes the weird type of animals. Now, let me just explain to you, when you go and get a dog, usually if there's a bunch of dogs, you look for the healthy and the strong one. Well, not my mom. She's got this gift of always looking for the most ugliest, weakest, sickest dog, and that's always the one that she wants. Needless to say, after she takes in the dogs, they completely recover. Well, they're still ugly though, but they recover completely, and then they pick up some weight and get healthy and strong. But when the dog is ugly, the dog is ugly. But she's just got this heart for animals, so I know she's also going to enjoy this topic as we're going to talk a little bit about that. And she gave a lot of inspiration as she prepared a lot of content for this as well. So I'm very excited to share that with you. So there's actually a scripture, a book in the Bible that talks a lot about animals, and you find that in Job, where the instruction is certain animals are given preference in the book, and added to these animals, we then take these animals and we look at certain of their character traits, and we're going to draw from that tonight in order to learn from them. So I'm going to read you a scripture verse. It's found in Job chapter 12 verse 7. If you've got a notebook or a Bible, you're welcome to open there, and then we're just going to read that together. Let me just open the tab here for you, and you should be able to follow. And Job, it speaks about the following: but ask the beasts, and they will teach you. They will teach you. Ask the beasts, and they will teach you. The birds of the heaven, and they will tell you. Now, obviously, it's a poetic description, okay? It doesn't specifically mean that the birds and the beasts that they can speak, but it's a poetic way of describing that if we stop and look, there's information to gather for us. It carries on, and it says the following: all the bushes of the earth, and they will teach you, and the fish of the sea will declare to you. Verse 9, who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In his hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. Now, Job explains these animals, and he makes it quite personal to explain a personal point. I mean, you need to read this whole book. There's a lot of depth with regards to this, but that's not what I want to talk to you about. I want to take, my mom is listening. I want to take this idea of looking at animals and drawing from their life valuable life lessons, and that's what we're going to talk to you guys about. So, if you want to take a guess, there's only one place for us to start. It's probably one of the more famous wisdom animals to speak about. You guys have a guess? So we are going to talk about the ant tonight. The ant. So obviously you guys know there's a lot of information with regards to ant. There's a lot of wisdom that we can apply to the ant. But the ant actually pops up in our Bible. Goeienaand aan die Monica. So I want to take 3, maybe 4 character trait that I want to take from the ant, and I want to apply it to our life tonight as a quick devotional talk as we prepare for the elections to take place tomorrow. The first thing that stands out from the ant that we can learn from them is planning and preparation. So here's the thing that I want to leave with you that we're going to talk about quickly. If an animal knows how to apply certain things, how much more are we not supposed to be able to apply those settings? So the thing is about the ants, their planning and preparation is phenomenal. So planning in the sense of when it comes to their homes, when it comes to their environment, when it comes to their food, planning and preparation. You know why this is so significant? Because us as human beings, we tend to autopilot a lot of things. We tend just to go with the flow. Okay, yeah, I know that's maybe a cheesy rhyme, but that's exactly what we do. Alatani Shemaine, great to have you on with us this evening. Planning and preparation. You see, when you need to go on a trip, you understand planning, you understand preparation. When you're going to have guests over, you understand planning and preparation. Okay. When we look at the animal kingdom and you look at the ant, you can see how they plan certain things and you can see how they prepare certain things. But here's the thing, why do we struggle to apply this to our personal lives? Planning and preparation. There's always one tip. Probably Hello Margot. There's one tip that I always give this out to, especially the new guys that's finding their feet and ministering in our church. That preparation is one of the most important materialistic tools that you can have with you. Planning and preparation. Now, here's the thing: we know how to do planning and preparation to normal tasks, but why do we never apply that to personal growth? Why do we never do planning and preparation when it comes to our personal growth? You see, we apply this to many things. I want to ask you something very interesting. Are there things in your life that you planned and prepared for? Or have you only been reacting to your circumstances? You see, this is true for a lot of people, for us. We tend to be reactive instead of proactive. In other words, we autopilot and then we respond to the situation. But the lesson we can learn tonight from ants is the proactiveness, the planning and the preparation. In other words, you are doing something today to improve your tomorrow deliberately, intentionally. You are planning and preparing. You see, I've said this before in so many sermons as I was ministering, you know. So I don't want you to forget this. Maybe you are listening to me and you are someone that occasionally attends church and you see yourself as a kind of righteous person in the sense you've got a relationship with God, you're not disrespectful and things like that. And for us who's been on the road for a long time, I just want to mention something, you know. You aren't even aware of the things that God has saved you from, just because you allowed him to discipline you and you make better decisions. So because of the things you are doing today, there's a lot of stuff already fixed in your future because you did that today. Now, if this sounds like very cheesy, it's very simple. If I eat healthy today, I solve a lot of health problems that I might have in 3 months' time. It's just common sense, okay? So what we plan and prepare today can prevent things in our future. But you know what's difficult? Because planning and preparation is not always an immediate, instant gratification. It's not something that will have results now. There's nothing more frustrating, you know, if you are blessed enough to have a small pension fund. There's nothing more frustrating now to put money away, okay? Because there's always another hole to fill. But if we do not do preparations now, there's going to be a lack in the future. Okay? So the idea is we are making sacrifices now. And this is the idea of planning and preparation, you know. I do planning and preparation today to pack in lunch so I don't have to be tomorrow hungry at work tomorrow. There's planning and preparation. Now, we do that in the materialistic things in our lives, but we never do it in our spiritual and emotional things in our life. You know, and this is going to sound cheesy if I touch on things like mental health and stuff like that. There are stuff we need to do today that's going to cost us a price, but when we do these things, it's causing us, we are planning and preparing to prevent things in the future. The ants are working extremely hard so that when the winter comes, there are sufficient food. But what we do as humans, and please don't get, I'm not trying to bash or insult on any level, but what we do when we come to a situation, you know, for example, I did not store up food for the winter's coming, I don't have any food, and I have a lot of self-pity over my life, but the reality is if I just put away some food over the times when I'm able to, I should have. So again, I don't mean to make this is not a financial conversation. I'm actually just using very simple explanations to try and get this idea in our hearts that we need to make healthy decisions today. You know, you need to touch grass every now and then. You need a little bit of sun. You need to take a walk. You need to build your spiritual relationship with God. You need to invest into your relationships. You have these things that you need to do because it's planning and preparation, because it will solve a lot of things later on in the future. Well, that's one of the lessons that we can learn when we talk about this idea of the end. The next point when we talk about the end, and if you just signed in, we're talking about this idea of pause and reflect. The whole conversation is we're looking at some of the animals that the Bible mentioned and what we can learn from that, and we pause and reflect on the idea what we can apply as we look over what the characteristics of them. The next thing that pops up when it comes to ants, it's if there's one thing ants do phenomenally, it's teamwork and community. It's almost like bees as well. Teamwork and community. You know, this is such an important thing. You need a support structure around you. You need a support structure. You need a community. This is why we talk about attending church, and then we talk about being connected to church. It's not this idea of a random superpower and something magically happens, but the idea around being connected is there's a sense of community with people that share similar values, and that can build into your life. But you see, teamwork and community is difficult. Teamwork and community is tough. Why? Because there are people that's different than you. There are people that don't like tomato. And maybe you love tomato. Maybe you eat tomato like an apple, and I stand and shake my head in disgust as I don't know how you can do that. Maybe you like pawpaw. No, I don't. Maybe there's certain preferences that you enjoy that I will not enjoy. And so what we do, we allow our differences to cause division. But the reality is we are in need of community because our weaknesses are strengthened when we are together. You see, you can't always stand. You can try, but you can't always stand. You sometimes slip, sometimes you're not feeling well, sometimes things aren't going smooth, and you need someone around you to be there, to be your support structure. Sometimes you need a community that's praying for you. Sometimes you need a community that's motivating you. Sometimes you need a community that celebrates you. That is what human is all about, is this connectedness with each other. It's this idea of family and togetherness, and ants do this much better than anyone else. So I want to draw this conclusion and ask you, are you connected to a faith community? Or are you just showing up now and then? Are you working part of a team? Are you a team player, or are you isolated on your own? Do you work together? And now you must say, but it's difficult. Yeah, yes. But the entire idea, if we can draw some information from the life of the ant, and we look at the Bible perspective, you need to understand that we have been created for togetherness, and we have an accountability to each other. We are responsible for one another. I want to go to the next one, and again, something that's so well known about ants is this idea of diligence and hard work. Diligence and hard work. I always think of diligence as this thing, as this idea of doing small things consistently. Diligent. Small things consistently, and then being willing to put in the hard work. So here's the thing. I'm not going to say conclude, because I can speak too long about this topic, but I want to kind of try to draw this to a conclusion, kind of summarize what we are talking about tonight. Okay, when we look at the ant, you see that they are hardworking. So I want to tell you this. You need to understand the following. Laziness needs to become your enemy. But the problem is laziness becomes our best friend. So many things in our health will be sorted out if we become less lazy. So many things in our wealth will be sorted out when we become less lazy. So the idea around this is that you need to understand that laziness and comfortability becomes an issue. Now, does this mean you can't rest? No, 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 no. Does this mean holiday is wrong? No, no. Does this mean a walk on the beach is bad? Not at all. But I need you to understand the problem comes in when we consistently, listen to this, when we consistently choose comfort over commitment. When we consistently choose comfort over commitment, we become unfit. We build up unhealthy financial habits. We tend to spend a little bit more. We tend to be a little bit more laid back. And slowly but surely over time, those things just begin to creep up. For example, I don't mean to talk about materialistic things because this is actually a very deep spiritual message. But just to try and display or explain this to you, it's simply like this. Now, if I tell you I picked up 10 kilograms, okay, in this last year, that sounds like a lot. Okay, no, it doesn't. It is a lot. Okay, but if you break it down in my bad maths, okay, if you wanna do my bad maths, okay, it's gonna be bad, but if my math calculations is wrong, please forgive me. That boils down to, in a 12-month period, you need to pick up less than 1 kilogram a month. Just 1 kilogram a month. And 1 kilogram is not very difficult. If you do some basic research, I can't remember the amounts out of my head, but I think if you talk about 7,000 calories converts to about a kilogram, okay? So you can take that 7,000 divided over 4 weeks, and you get to an amount where you realize that, man, if you consistently overeat with a certain margin on a weekly basis, without exercise, I'm just taking this as an example. Picking up a kilogram in a month is not difficult. And if I consistently maintain those habits over a year period, it's not that difficult to pick up 10 kilograms. But the opposite is also true. We can do small things consistently and diligently and working hard at that over a long period of time, and we will have the opposite results, you know? If I and this is not a health advice show, not at any, this is actually a spiritual conversation, but I'm using the materialistic things to explain. So if you want to lose weight, you kind of just eat with a little bit of deficit, you exercise a little bit more, and you do that more with a small margin, you do that consistently over time, and it takes a lot of time to kind of build up that total amount of weight that you've lost. The same stuff happens in our spiritual lives, you know. We pick up small little habits, and in a blink of an eye, 12 months later, you look back and you don't even recognize yourself anymore. And then the other side is also true. You begin to do healthy habits, you begin to attend church, you begin to read your Bible, begin to engage in a community, and 6 months later, you realize, man, I'm in such a healthy spiritual habit. How did that happen? Well, you slowly did some good things. But the opposite is true. If you slowly do some bad things, it's just slowly going to degrade. Why? Because when we choose comfort over commitment, it's kind of going to push us into the bad parts. I mean, that's true for spiritual things and for materialistic things, okay? So the idea and the challenge is to choose commitment first and then comfort for what is left. But we do it the other way around. We choose comfort first and then we look at what commitment is left. So the challenge for us, if we look at the end, you know, if we want to succeed, there's all these ideas of working together and being committed to each other. It's all these ideas of working hard and being diligent. It's all this concepts of consistency in our lives. So tonight the conversation is quite simple to you. I want to ask you this. What has your spiritual habits looked like since January? Would you say things have been improving in comparison to last year? Or would you say things have been declining? And then if you come to that point, you need to evaluate that by comparing your journey and your activities last year in comparison to this year. But here's the thing, sometimes life happens and we go through bumps and things are up and down. I'm not shooting that down. But the hassle is that you need to actively choose commitment over comfort in order to get back to that place. You know, we need to plan for a better future. We need to prepare for a better future. And that's going to take commitment. It's not going to take comfort. It's going to take discipline. So the challenge for us is, can we be committed enough to put our comfort aside in these specific areas we need to work in consistently over the next 6 months? Because if we can do that, our year will end much stronger. Can I take money again? Can I take money again? If you consistently save a little bit of money over a long period of time, you're going to have a little bit of wealth at the end of the year. It's just obvious. If you are going to overspend a little bit every month, you're going to end the year with debt. Now, I'm oversimplifying this horribly, but you guys get the idea. So this conversation is, if you are happy where you are spiritually, I want to encourage you, maintain that planning. Maintain that preparation, because that's going to become the standard. Don't become comfortable because things are going well. It happens to all of us, you know. I mean, it's like the question, why do fit people go to the gym? To maintain it. Why do sorry if I'm using weight now as an example, but why do thin people eat healthy? Well, to maintain what they are doing. Why do church people go to church? They're already saved. Well, it's a maintaining thing. It's a preparing thing. It's a planning thing. It's a consistent drive to move towards a place where we are closer to God. Well, that's at least what we can learn from the ant. Proverbs, it warns us about the trap of becoming lazy. I'm just going to read this and then we're going to conclude tonight. Proverbs 24 verse 13, I passed by the field of a sluggard, a lazy person, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. And behold, it was all overgrown with thorns, and the ground was covered with nettles, and its stone walls was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instruction. You guys know this verse. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. And poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. Now, I don't want you to just walk away and talk about your weight and talk about your wealth and talk about how much books you read. This is a real spiritual conversation that I'm having with you. I want you to take that realization in the materialistic and draw it through to your spiritual life. That doesn't mean I'm materialistic. I mean, you need to run your money well. You need to look at your health. You need to consider all those elements. But at the same time, do not hyper-focus on those things and leave God out of the process. I want to know by you, do you feel that your walk with God is healthy? If it's not, then I'm going to ask you a next question. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to complain? Are you going to ask for counseling the whole time? Are you going to ask for prayer the whole time? Or are you going to change small habits in your life? Are you going to plant the seeds today for the garden that you want tomorrow? Are you going to be proactive? Are you going to start preparing and planning? There's some action things in your life that you need to change if you want to see the results. Get connected. Get into the habit of engaging with the faith community. Get into the habit of reading, of prayer. If you don't understand what you are reading, go buy a book of someone that can help you understand those things. Get involved in a good, healthy local church. Start serving. Start speaking to people that come from that same value mindset that can impart into your life. But don't just leave it. We become comfortable in our own disease. We become comfortable in our own sickness. I know we complain about our conditions, but we become comfortable in them. Sometimes we enjoy complaining because complaining is easier than changing. It's easier to complain about my circumstances than having to go and do something about it. And again, I'm not picking on anyone specifically. I'm not pointing finger at anyone specifically. I'm talking firstly to me, and I'm just extending this to your conversation tonight, man. I want you to understand. Stop playing with God. Stop keeping this as a religious sticker that you put on your forehead. If you want to change your spiritual circumstances, you need to meet with God. Guys, and if I'm really honest with everyone listening to us tonight, and everyone that still watch this, most of the time when we engage with people, they know the answer, they know the solution, they just lack the discipline to apply it. And I'm sure you can associate with what I'm saying, and you know about some people as well, you know. You can see it in them, you know what they need to apply, you know what they need to change. But the thing is, I also need to apply things and change things for myself. Because speaking about something and actually doing something is kind of two completely different things. So I want to encourage you. Evaluate your spiritual walk with God. Let's look at the end. Let's pause and reflect what we can learn. We need to plan our tomorrow. We need to plan and prepare our spiritual walk. We need to have the sense of working together, the sense of community, the sense of togetherness, the sense of a oneness. And we need to make sure that we're putting in the work. We're putting in the hard work diligently over a period of time. Come on, there's people live listening to me right now, and you know your life a year and a half ago is not the same anymore. Why? Because God changed your heart when you decided to meet with Him. I don't need to convince you. Your life is proof of this. Why? Why do you find yourself in a spiritual healthy place? Because you decided to make the healthy spiritual decisions, not once, consistently, week after week. Come on, I see you guys in church. I see how God is moving in your life and how He changed your life. I can see it with my physical eyes. Why? Because you are diligent, you are hardworking in the spiritual elements. I want to encourage you. Put in the hard work. Pause and reflect. Don't autopilot. Don't just carry on. Take some time and think about your life. And write down those actions that you need to begin to work on. Because things will only change when your habits change. You can quote me for free. It's fine. I won't ask any royalties. Focus on those habits. Focus on changing those small things consistently. And you will see your results in a week, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks will be drastically different than where you find yourself now. Maybe some of you have stepped away from church. Maybe some of you stepped away from God. Maybe you followed Him from a distance. Maybe some of you have grown just a little bit lukewarm. Well, guess what? Tonight is the message that God is knocking at your door and He's just waiting for you to open. See this message tonight as that sign that you have been waiting for someone just to come and tell you that God is still concerned about you. Well, this is that message tonight. I want to encourage you. He's knocking tonight. I want to encourage you, open that door. Even though the stream is going to conclude tonight, you are welcome to reach out to us online. You are welcome to visit us online. If you're very, very far away, get a healthy local church. But don't let this message stop here. God is knocking and He's asking for you to open. Maybe there was a little bit of bad habits. Maybe you just got a little bit more comfortable and you lacked on your commitment